Gonna have a little cry here. My nice neat hull has just turned into a freaking shit fight. There's a bit of conjecture on the plans. I haven't got an exact plan for this boat. This changing never ceases to amaze me. I mean, look at this. How good is that? You can't imagine it. How good this is for someone like me who's trying to determine complex curves and shapes. This is an absolute winner, this thing. So I've added a couple of bits of bracing and that one's ready to go. Basically, what I've got an issue here is in areas like this where I've got a gap. So I've got to make a filler that's going to fill in here. And what I'll be doing is noting it here, marking it here and there, and then making a small part. I'll probably do it out of foam or something just to make it nice and simple. I can shape them pretty quickly. And similarly down in the bottom here, I'm going to have to, because it's so tight down in here and it doesn't really conform, I'm just going to have to make up my own base. But you know, I've got the general shape here, and that can just be lifted out now, laid straight on a lofting table and drawn effectively. Very, very simple. Nothing's ever perfect. I've got a couple of gaps in here that I can't fill in. So what I've done is I've come up with an idea. I'll get some cardboard and do a little, sorry, I'm just trying to stand up here, do a little adjustment here and then physically join it to the jig, and then I've got the outline. So it's a little bit of dicking around because I've got some pretty complex curves and foam rebates and things in here to deal with. Okay, so what I've just done, I've put a small cardboard template to fill in this little gap here and then secured it to the jig so that when I remove it, it doesn't move. So it stays exactly where it is and it fills in the gap, and that allows me to complete my template. So a lot of stuffing around, it's going to be worth it in the long run because if I only have to cut it once, I don't want to be lifting stuff in and out of this hull thousands of times as I've already been doing for the last 12 months. I've got a cabinet maker next door. It's got some scrap, so this stuff, you know, this MDF, not worth paying for, but excellent to use as templates. Check that out. It doesn't fit any better than that. There's a couple of little sections down in the bottom here where I've sort of misjudged the foam, but that's a pretty easy fix. I'm just going to zoom in here because you know, that is just brilliant to get that. That took me probably about 10 minutes with that changing. I mean, absolutely brilliant device, brilliant. So there we go. Basically, this ends at around about here. I haven't actually worked out exactly where that is. I've got to get a laser in here to work it out because I do have a floor height for this particular bulkhead, and then there's a solid flat bulkhead there, or a flat floor that forms a crash barrier inside here, or a crash bulkhead. But yeah, that's just brilliant. Okay, so I'm trying to determine the height of the forward bulkhead there. That's actually a crash bulkhead where I've got this weird angle here. I need to determine that height. Now I've determined off the plans that is 1204 up from the absolute bottom, that's including the glass, up to the top here. So I've put an upright here, I'm going to put a level across the top, and then I'm going to take a laser point on that forward bulkhead. I'm hoping that all works well. So this point here, this upright is 1204 up to the top, and then I'm going to take a laser level on that and get the point on that forward crush bulkhead, which has to be 1204 up from this point here. I'm just going to level this up with a spirit level. It's all very scientific. That looks pretty much dead square. So I've determined that one is dead straight. Now all I have to do is get the next one. So I've hot glued this T-piece in place, dead level, just to prove it, and put that in place to ensure that I get a good laser level. Now I've just got to make sure that it's actually level the other way, which I can do with my level. So I've just determined the point up on the bow, on the crash bulkhead right up the front there. You'll notice down here with my spirit level and my laser pointer, I've actually glued it with the hot glue gun, just tacked it on there, just because I thump around in here and things tend to move and shift around. I don't want it moving while I walk up there. I've glued it in place down on there, and then I'll be able to determine the exact point up on my bow where the crash bulkhead shelf needs to go, and then I can determine the next bulkhead. So it seems to be working. So here it is, that's the point there, that's my mark, and I can go and trim this bulkhead now and it's ready to go in. It's amazing how much movement there is in this mould as I walk around here, and it's obviously stomping around like a bloody fairy elephant. But what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to hot glue these bulkheads in place, these bulkhead templates, just so I can get a full picture. The great thing about that stuff is it just loosens off, especially on the composite. You just pick it off. I've already done that front one and it's now solid, and then I can get a perfect representation of where it's going to sit for the lid that's going to go on there. Now how I'm going to glass that is a matter of discussion, so if anyone's got any ideas, good luck, because I've got to get the inside of it. I'm thinking I'm going to glue it down with methacrylate or plexus or something to that effect, and then do my glassing on the top. But once that guy's in, I'm pretty much on the way to establishing the bulkhead positions and everything. So yeah, really happy with this result. Yeah, so this isn't level, clearly. It's got to be level. it's pretty complex. It's a pretty complex little shape. So I'm thinking, I just did a remeasurement over here. I'm thinking I might drop this a little bit because I've got to take into account the size of the foam. So I'm able to take about 2 centimeters off. Sorry, the size of the plywood. I'm able to take 2 centimeters off the height of that bulkhead there, thereby dropping that down to exactly where it needs to be. That's going to be the answer, I think. I've just spent the last 2.5 weeks cutting up MDF templates for the inside of the boat to form all the bulkheads, and I've gotten to a point now, because I'm working off a pre-production boat, I've actually gotten to the point where I think it's more prudent that I knock out a few more modules that go inside the boat, so I'm not modifying them too much as I've had in the past, where I've fitted it and then had to remove foam. I'd rather have the front 2 cabins modules particularly made so that they fit exactly in place when I adhere the bulkheads, or when I glass the bulkheads in. So I'm here moving the moulds around in my garage in here, in my shed. I've got these big moulds here. I'm going to move these all out into the driveway and get the 2 first cabin modules. So I'm working from the bow towards the stern. It's very important that I do that because I don't want to have to modify the modules too much. I'd rather have them all sitting in situ and then glass the bulkheads exactly where they need to go. I don't want to be like 2 centimeters out like I have been in the past, because it creates a lot more work. Better off to go for it and do it exactly right from day one. So yeah, sort of thrown out my schedule a little bit, but it's got to be made at some point, so it may as well be made now, and then I can do the whole job right. Righto, so there's a bit of conjecture on the plans. I haven't got an exact plan for this boat. Got a bit of a make-do one, but I've just come out here to this bedroom. This is the main suite, so this area right here is actually the queen bed, and then you've got your stairs up to it, but I'm trying to work out this bulkhead here, how that's going to fit. I forgot to film. We decided to lift these moulds out by hand, and it took 4 of us, and then we killed ourselves lifting these things out. I've moved all these ones out that are on trolleys. These other 2 here, this one here is our queen size bed suite for the starboard forward cabin, and then this one here is the chamfer panel steps up into the bed. But it's very, very important that I get these 2 modules, and in fact there's another one around the back that I'm going to have to do as well before I start putting in the bulkheads. It's sort of changed my schedule somewhat, but the good thing is that it's going to get done properly. So you can see here, this is actually the foot of the queen size suite, and then these are the stairs up either side of the bed, and then this one over here is the port side cabin. There's 2 single beds, one there and one there, and they're the stairs up into it. So this part here actually goes upside down and on the deck, so you can sort of get a feel for where these things are going to fit. The important thing is that area there and this part here, that's where the bulkheads are. So it's important that I get this right to make sure that my bulkheads are in the right position. So I'm going to give them a clean with a Karcher water blaster and bring them in and then get polishing, and then hopefully by the end of next week I'll have one or both of these made. Happy days. Anyone here at the moment? I've got all my moulds out, or most of them. out, got a few tunes on, and I've started to move all these modules in here. I'll just show you what I've got in here. Basically, you can take a little walk with me. Some blues on in the background, and I've got the two bedhead modules up in there. Sorry about the music, but I'm getting down and about to get back up again. Ready to start polishing and clean up and get them gelled up, ready to go. Happy days.